welcome back to another stream. While I am in a dressing down and we have a morning coffee because, we all love a morning coffee. So, welcome back to another stream. Let me just have a couple of sips. So, today we're going to go over a few updates as we move into 2025. So, we're moving, pardon, we're moving further into this 2025 and it is starting to fill up. So, this weekend I got 3 bookings that came in. Now, a couple of these bookings are not actually until a bit later on in the year. So some of them, one of them is actually quite far into the year, and then one of them is kind of like a little bit closer, but it's not, it's still a fair distance away, like we're talking into the summer, which is good. It's good that these are coming in. It's good that we're getting these opportunities and stuff like that. That is obviously really good. But there is a few dates now that are starting to fill up, and of course in due course I will be announcing them. The one that is in August is an exciting one because I'm returning somewhere that I've been a couple of times before, that I've always enjoyed. But not only that, the date that I'm playing on, or doing the gig on, should I say, is a special date within itself because it is actually a bank holiday. So with it being a bank holiday, and the gig is actually on the bank holiday Sunday, I have good feelings, good suspicions that the gig is going to go really well because it's going to be really busy because everybody's out for the bank holiday. And when I used to go out a lot myself, when I used to just go out a lot drinking and, before I was really proper pushing the music, even more seriously like I am now, when I used to go out on bank holidays, they were always busy on the bank holiday Sunday. Everybody always went out on the bank holiday Sunday. Now, of course, we are in a world where we're in kind of like cost of living and things are more expensive and a lot of people just genuinely don't go out as much now. But, a lot of younger people, they still tend to like to go out round the pubs and stuff like that. I think there becomes a certain extent where there's quite a lot of young, what you would call, I'd say, young chavers and young college students and university students that like to go on a night out still. And they still like to go out round the town, and when it's bank holiday, they take advantage of going out on the Friday, having a little bit of a rest on the Saturday, be eating food, watching a movie, and then on the Sunday they go back out again, and they live it large because obviously Monday is a bank holiday, so there's no work. So, I think we'll have it quite good in terms of that one. And the one that's in June, which, like I say, I'll be announcing these properly in the due course. I don't think it's going to be something absolutely spectacular, but I'm looking forward to it. It's one of them where I don't know how it's going to go. So I know, like, the venue, I know where it is. It's a local booking in Hull. The venue is not something I would have ever thought I would have been playing in. So I'm a little bit unsure as to how well it's going to do. But, they booked me for a gig. I've accepted. And I'm looking forward. Sometimes I like doing these gigs where you really are going in at the deep end and you don't necessarily know what the vibe is going to be like. And sometimes it can be the strangest, the smallest, the weirdest venues where you end up having a better night. Like, you can go and play in a nightclub, that holds capacities of, hundreds of thousands of people, right? You can play a set, but sometimes you can go into these little rooms where they don't really get that big, they don't really get that full, or you don't need many people in for it to look full because it's only a small place, and you can end up having just like the most absolute vibe. And sometimes, like, a lot of people think it's the amount of people that you play to, when it's, you know, in sense of being a DJ. You know, you think like you're a good DJ if you're stood on a stage out there playing to thousands of people, which, you know, in sense that is obviously a, you know, a really good thing, and it's a good achievement as a DJ, especially, you know, being on a festival stage where there is thousands of people. But sometimes it is about how the vibe is with the people you've got. So like sometimes, you know, I'm an upcoming DJ, so sometimes, I'm not going to lie to you, I played sets where there's maybe been, you know, only about 10 people there, right? But the vibe has been absolutely wicked because them 10 people have been having the best time of their lives, and they've been loving it, they've been cheering, they've been responding, you know. And then sometimes I've played gigs to 50, 60 people and the vibe hasn't been as good, you know. Some of the crowd just don't feel it for whatever reason. Sometimes, you know, there can be a whole range of situations and reasons why the crowd cannot feel it. For example, you can be booked because they want you to play a bounce set, but it's in a venue that isn't really known for playing a lot of bounce music, so their crowd, their clientele, is not necessarily really a bouncy crowd. But you've been booked, you've been asked, you know, you've been booked and asked to play that genre of music. So it becomes that thing of, what do you do? Do you go behind the promoter's back and play something completely different that you know is going to suit the crowd more? Because that's going to, you know, because in the long run, that is going to benefit that sort of moment in time when they're in that venue and they're absolutely loving it, and they're not going to decide that, you know, this is boring, they're going to go out for a smoke, or they're going to move on and go to another venue. Or do you just stick to what the venue promoter or venue owner wants you to play, and you know, and risk that chance of, well, you know, they're not really vibing this style of music? And sometimes you do have to play what the promoter has asked you to play, unfortunately, because, you know, sometimes there's certain, you know, like sometimes at certain venues they will have actually put a bounce night on, and it is a bounce night, and, you know, you've come here knowing full well that there is a bounce night on, and if you're not keen on the music, then why did you walk into this venue? However, sometimes there will be like multi-genred venue nights, or sometimes you can go into these like town venues where it's mainly only known for people that go in after a few bevies round the pub, and, you know, they're expecting sort of like all the R&B and the dance anthems, and, you know, they like a bit of dancehall and reggae, and they like a few soul tracks, and they like a bit of hip hop, and, you know, they like that multi-genre party DJ that will just play like basically all the hits essentially, and just play all the well-known stuff, and you can go up there and request your Whitney Houston track and he's more than likely going to have it, so he'll be able to play it. And then you come in there and you play a bounce set where it's like just a full-on donk going absolutely banging. They're probably not going to like it, and in that sense I would recommend that you would basically change what you're playing, or not necessarily change. There's ways, I believe, that you can still play a similar sort of set, but you can kind of somehow tone it down a bit. And one of the things that I feel is a good way of doing this is first of all is to pitch down, so to play slower than what you're playing. So like I usually play my bounce at 155. That's just my preference. I like it. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. I feel that 150 can sometimes sound just a little bit like it's just lacking, a little bit slow. And anything below that I do feel is pretty slow. However, sometimes depending on the vibe, depending on the venue, I will play my bounce at 145. Now, I know you're probably thinking like, this is absolutely crazy, right? But it's actually not, because sometimes the music is actually more banging via the speed that it's playing. So you play bounce and you play it at 155, it sounds more fast and banging. If you play your bounce a little bit slower, it sounds a little bit more slow, a little bit more bouncy. And the original donk sound, the original bounce sound, was not actually originally made for playing at like the 150, 155. It was kind of more around like, I think it went up from 135 to around 145 originally. When the club heads kind of did their tracks, they were kind of the ones that were kind of like sort of very early-ish people, I think, if not the first to use that sound, that sort of like tinned hitting a pipe sound on the donk bass. So I think personally, if you play it a bit slower, that can work. And then also the type of bounce tracks that you're playing as well can have a really, really good effect on that. So if you've got loads of bounce tracks that are just really, really cheesy, and they are like remixes of like Whitney Houston and the Black Eyed Peas and stuff that everybody's gonna know and gonna sing along to, you're onto a winner. And also, if you can play tracks that somewhat keep a lot of elements of the original tracks. So, for example, if you play a remix of Alice DJ, Better Off Alone, and it didn't have that famous melody that is in the track, that do 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 do, because there is some people that do remixes and they take the vocal and they maybe don't use that melody for whatever reason. And not having that melody could be a crucial part of the track not going down as well. Whereas if you've got like that, that melody in there and you've got all them sort of like original elements still, that kind of makes people recognize the track. Because normally, especially people who aren't musicians, they will pick one key part of a track out, and that is the reason why they like it. That is the reason why they know it. That is the reason why they remember it. If you I don't know, if you went up to somebody and you played the bass line with your mouth, they probably wouldn't know what track you was on about. If you went up to somebody and beatboxed the drum loop, they probably wouldn't know what track it was. If you sang the lyrics, they would know what track it is. If you played the melody on a piano, they would know what the track is. So it's them kind of elements of the track that kind of people will recognize within a track. Sometimes it can be a bass line, but again, bass lines, they have to be, you've got to be right into your music to really recognize bass lines, I feel. You've got to really be into music and not just somebody who knows music and has listened to music over the years, but isn't right into music to the point of, they know all the ins and outs of tracks and infos about tracks. So, that's, how gigs can sometimes go. You can have the good gigs and the bad gigs, but necessarily the good gigs can come from small crowds. You don't have to be I suppose what I'm saying is you don't have to be on a stage in front of thousands of people to have a really good set. You can play to small crowds and you can have a really, really good set, and that is kind of the thing. So with this booking, going back to the booking in June, I'm just a little unsure as to how it's going to go, but I'm looking forward to it. I just don't know how it's going to go. So I'm a little bit like, I'm a bit sort of like in getting thrown in the deep end here. So we'll see how it goes. And then there's another booking that has come in for February. And this one, I can more or less just announce it. There isn't really anything majorly massive to, I think there's already sort of some artwork out. I don't think there's an official flyer with our names on it yet, but it's I won't go into too much detail about it then, but I'll tell you the basics. Basically, I am returning to Fusion in Grimsby for a birthday party. So I'm doing a birthday party in February, and someone's birthday. They know that this is happening. They have kind of, to an extent, organised it themselves, the birthday person. It's not a surprise birthday, so they know it's happening. And they invited me to their party originally, and I was just thinking I might go just because I know the person and it would be good to see him for his birthday. And then the next minute he wanted me to play, he wanted to actually book me and he wanted me to play a set. and I was like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, let's do it. Because I like, if I hadn't been playing, like, and I wasn't doing anything, like, I would have tried to have gone. But like, the thing is, I can get other bookings. A booking could have come in for all I know. And if another booking had come in, then sadly it's work. I would have had to have taken it, unfortunately. And so I never, the days of me now where saying like, I'm just gonna come and go on a night out for fun it's kind of come to an end, because the thing is, like, because I'm an open DJ, like, all hours essentially. Like, I'm available to play like pretty much any weekend of the year, unless of course something's already booked in, or something's come up, for example. So like, the thing for me is, like, I can't say on July the 10th I'm going to buy a ticket and go to this festival, because I just don't know if I'm going to get booked on that date. So I have to kind of wait till nearer the time to see, like, if I'm booked or not. And then, like, if I'm not booked, then I could say, well, I'm available to go to it. But then by then, all the ticket prices, they go up, and then before you know it, you're paying for like the final release tickets, because just a test. Don't worry, there is no fire. So I can't always know if I'm going to be available to go to a said event, like, if I'm not playing, just because I could get booked, and then, like, in sense it's bad for me, because I've just wasted money on a ticket that I'm now not going to go to, and then I've got the stress and the hassle of trying to sell the tickets, and then people come into your inbox and, oh, can't you do it for 10 instead of 15, and you've got all this, and if you just don't buy a ticket in the first place, you don't have that stress. But then, like, if you don't end up being booked on that day, and then you're available to go to that said event or festival and enjoy it, like, it's a bit of a shame, because the prices go up. So it's kind of 50-50. You can sell it for cheaper, or you can buy an expensive ticket. You're kind of losing out both ways, if you end up getting a booking or something comes up. So anyway, going back to it, nice little birthday party booking. I'm looking forward to it. Just going to play a nice little fun set there, and just have a little bit of fun, and say hello and celebrate the birthday vibes and stuff like that. And it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. And so that's now all together this year so far. Not that I'm trying to count, because we did over 30 last year, which is pretty crazy. So currently now we've got one tomorrow, then we've got 2 in March, so that's 3. Then we've got 1 in February, that's 4. We've got 1 in April, that's 5. And then we've got 1 in June, and then 1 in August. So we've got 7 so far. So 7 isn't actually bad going, in all honesty. Some of them are spread out a little bit. There's some of them where I do a booking, and then there's 2 or 3 weeks before I'm actually doing the booking itself. So like, for example, the one I'm doing tomorrow, it's a month until the birthday one I'm doing, so we've got like 4 weeks of nothing again. But something could come in. But we're at the start of the year where everything's just a little bit quiet. Things are still finding its place. Things are still obviously doing its thing, which is I do apologise. I was checking the time on it. Things are still a little bit unknown, but we're starting to unclear this path of what 2025 is going to tell us. So on the verge of other things, on the verge of other updates to give you for this year. So the room renovation, there isn't really all that too much I can really update you on. If you don't know, we're going to renovate this room, and I'm going to film it as a little YouTube series. Because I've been watching a lot of renovation videos on YouTube and things, and I find them quite enjoyable to watch. A couple that I watch, just to mention, there's a guy called, there's a channel called 6 in a Bus, and basically it's a family of 6, So there's like a man and a woman, and then there's like 4 kids, and they all live in a bus. But essentially, they bought a bigger and a better bus, essentially, and they're gonna turn it into their new home. They're still currently living in another bus, and it's a really good bus. But they're filming a renovation series, and they're transforming this bus into a new home, and it's a really fun little thing to watch. There's another channel I watch called Nikki and Harry, and they're like a young couple, and they've bought a house somewhere. I can't remember where it is, and the house is in an absolute state, and they have been renovating it for a good while now, a good fair few months. And there's been a big series on it, and they've had to wait for like planning permission for certain things. And really fun series to watch, because they're just like a young couple that have just basically gone in at the deep end, and essentially they have just decided that they are going to buy a house, and they're just going to renovate it all themselves, more or less. I mean, there's like odd times where they have like friends come over, and the friends give them a hand, and they have like family members that come over and give them a hand. But 9 times out of 10, they are doing the work themselves. They're like bricklaying themselves. They're building a full extension on this house for the kitchen. They're doing like a big patio area. They're doing like a new driveway. They're doing loads of cool stuff, and it's a really fun series to watch. Another series that I've been watching, which has absolutely just buzzed me yesterday. So this one I was watching in the form of Facebook Reels, and they're called The Professional Idiots. And essentially, they converted a bus into a coffee shop, and then that kind of came to an end as they finished. And then essentially, they got a container that you would kind of see like on a builder's yard or like a scrap yard, like a porter cabin almost type thing, and they're converting it into a house. And I only just found out yesterday that they actually have a proper full working YouTube channel, and they do longer length videos on there as opposed to like the just over a minute long reels. So that buzzed me. So now I've followed their YouTube channel. I can watch that. And then finally, another person I watch is called Pete and his bus. And I watched him because he was renovating a bus, an old Routemaster. But then things kind of changed, and his YouTube channel kind of blew up for other reasons. So that has kind of like changed, but I still watch him. And I am just going to have to pop to the toilet, and I will return in a second. Okay, my apologies about that. So I've been watching this guy called Pete and his bus, and he owns a Routemaster, and he has it kitted out as a bar, and basically he takes it to events and festivals, and people hire the bus and they rent it out, and they use it as a bar, and it works at festivals and events. So he was going to renovate a second bus that was going to pretty much do the same thing. So he was like, well, look, I've got 2 buses here, so I could be essentially in 2 places at once. I could have 1 bus at one place, 1 bus at another place. However, his YouTube channel started to blow up in the sense of like other companies would like ask him to like go on weekends away and drive their buses and help with like promotional tours. So there'll be like clothing brands and things that have like renovated old buses, or like they've kitted out like a newer bus, and they go to like different like towns, and they'll park up in the city centre, and then they'll kind of like let people come onto the bus and look around, and they'll try and offer, you know, whatever they're selling, like big clothing brands like Shein and stuff like that. And then they'll go and do all these other kind of like different things. And then you know, the Pete and his bus guy himself has just ended up doing all these other different sort of things, and the channel's blown up, and the subscribers has obviously blown up, to the point that he now doesn't have a need to renovate a second bus as a bar. However, he has now decided that he is going to continue renovating the bus, but turn it into like a little bit of an office, kind of like a place where we can edit videos, and kind of like the Pete and his bus HQ. So the renovation side of things is coming back. However, I have kind of gotten into the way he's doing things at the moment as well, and I still enjoy watching his channel. So I like watching renovation things, and this room does not need a renovation in sense. It's not, you know, it isn't falling to pieces, you know, there isn't mold anywhere, it's not broken, but essentially it could do with just a little bit of a spruce, some decorating, and I feel that I want this, the room that we're sat in now is kind of like the heart of my home, and I want to turn it into a bit more of a better kind of looking music studio, if you like. So I want people to be able to come round, and we can kind of work on music, but at the same time we can be in a very good space for making music, and not kind of feel like, you know, we're just sat at the computer in Noble's living room. That's not the vibe that I wanted to go for. So I want to do a little renovation series, and when I say renovation, the renovating, you know, what we're actually going to renovate is probably hardly anything. What we are going to do is we're going to paint the walls. So painting the walls is one thing that we're going to do. That is something that is going to happen 100%. We're going to paint the walls. That is something that is going to happen. And then apart from that, there isn't really anything else that we're going to like take apart and paint. But what we are going to do is we're going to buy loads of cool things that are going to kind of make this room the new room. So we're going to get things like a new computer desk, we're going to get things like a new stand for my decks and things to go on. We're going to put some things on the wall. So one thing is I want to have a really nice display where I can display my CDs. So like they look like, so it looks really good. And they're all kind of sort of looking really nice, and they're all, you know, just in a really, really good condition. And you know, and you can look at them and you can see that I'm like a CD collector and not just somebody who has a few CDs. Another thing, my track releases, I want to put them into photo frames, and I want to put them on the wall. So I want to have like a little bit of a feature wall where it's kind of like my achievements of track releases on things like Layman Productions, Excite Digital, and stuff like that. I want to do the same for flyers, but I don't want to do absolutely loads of flyers. I just want to do a couple of flyers in some photo frames where the bookings have really meant something to me. So like if there'd been a big booking, or I've had an opportunity, like I've been warming up for a big DJ or something, like the Bounce to Your Drop events, you know, they gave me some incredible opportunities. That's the type of thing that I'd want to put in a photo frame, you know, as opposed to, I don't know, going to so-and-so, you know, and doing a set in the second room is not something for me. You know, I enjoy and I love every single gig, and, you know, I cherish and memorize every single gig. But, you know, if you had to pick like standout gigs where you really felt like you achieved something and you stepped up, the ones like Bounce to Your Drop would be the ones that would go in a photo frame. So anyway, with that being said, I want to do that. And then also, of course, I want to put soundproofing up. So I want to do a little bit of soundproofing where I can. I don't know how well it's going to work. I'm not well clued up on soundproofing, but if anything, it will just create the look that the room's soundproofed. You know, if it doesn't, but I mean, hopefully it does. Just putting some of the foam up on, like, you know, sort of near wherever the computer's going to be, and probably the same like for the decks and stuff like that. So the whole vibe of the renovation or the decorating series is I want one half of the room to be the studio, and then the second half of the room to be the living room. But when I say living room, I want it to kind of look more like a little bit of a chill out room, as opposed to like your average living room with a coffee table and and a plant pot. That's not the kind of vibe that I'm going for. So I kind of want it to be kind of like the gaming room, stroke the chill out room. So it's the room where essentially there's going to be the telly in there, and there's going to be a smart telly, and we can just play music on the YouTube, and we can put films on or whatever when we're not doing music related things. And then also, of course, we'll have the it'll be a space where we can just sit down and chill and have a drink as well. And then the other side will be the actual studio with the computer desk and the decks, and gonna put a recording microphone in here and stuff. And I want some way to display some of the vinyl records as well, and that'll be like a really, really cool thing to do. And I'm quite looking forward to it. So we're going to be doing that sort of hopefully late February, March time, I would imagine. Going to start getting some necessities and bits of material that we're going to need to start, painting and things, and just having a really sort of like cool go at that. And then also, really, the only other thing in terms of updates is music. I'm just going to keep making music. I've got loads of tracks in the pipeline, loads of ideas. Me and the Layman, we've always got things in the pipeline. We don't get productive that often, and it really grinds me a little bit actually, but we just don't get time. We're really busy, and the Layman, I would say, is more busy than me, even though he would say like I'm busy and I'm always at work. But there's always like we have projects, and sometimes there's like little things that just need doing on them, and we don't do them for ages. Like there's one track, and it's a really good track, and all we really need to do is just sort the levels out on it, and like just getting together and sorting the levels out on it just seems like it's a impossible thing to do. Like, and every time it gets suggested, like one of us either is busy or we can't, or like I'm tired, I can't be asked to do it now. And it kind of grinds me, because I think like we're tired, but like if we're not going to do it now, when are we going to do it? But we'll get there. We always do in the end. But we've got a few tracks in the pipeline, and we bang on about how excited we are and how good the tracks are going to be. But we don't get productive enough to finish them. We don't get productive enough to do them last little things on the track that need finishing. So we can complete the track and stuff like that. And but we'll get there. But there's loads of cool things, and they are going to come out. We are going to pull our fingers out, and we're going to get them done this year, definitely. So some cool things to come on that score. With that being said, I am going to cut from here. So make sure to like, make sure to comment, share, and we shall see you soon. Yeah, because I need to